Hey everybody, it's low-carb and keto nutritionist Amy Berger from 2itnutrition.com bringing you another installment in doing keto without the crazy. Let's see, is there any business before I get into today's topic? If there is any, it'll be in the links down below. If you are interested in a consultation with me, you know I do those. You can get on the phone with me or we can Skype, whatever your preference is. If you need help getting started with a low-carb way of eating or you need help troubleshooting, like you've been doing this for a while and you're not happy with your results, consider a consultation. Details below. Also down below, a link to the Meet Me in Person tab on my website so you can see where I will be in person. Anything else of great importance right now? Not that I know of. I may or may not have, by the time this video is published, a new tab on my website to the affiliate products that I personally use and enjoy and trust and stand by. And so I want to share those with you because it's stuff that I actually use. And so, if it's anything you want to check out, feel free to use my affiliate link and send a few cents my way. You don't have to. It might or might not be there. So if you see the link down there, then I've created the tab already. If it's not, then I've procrastinated as per usual and it doesn't exist yet. Zip it. We're a minute and a half in. Why don't I do meal plans? I don't do meal plans and I don't create recipes. So when I get a client, I don't give them meal plans. The reason I don't do meal plans is, well, reasons plural. I don't want to tell a grown adult what to have for lunch next Thursday. I don't want to tell you what to have for dinner 3 Wednesdays from now. That's ridiculous to me. I mean, first of all, most people probably aren't going to follow the plan anyway. They just want to have the plan. They want to have the blueprint. They might not follow it. They just feel better having it. So why should I make it if they're not going to follow it? But the even bigger reason why I don't like to do meal plans is because you're familiar with that phrase, you can give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, teach a man to fish and you feed him for life. I like to teach people to fish, so to speak. I like to show people how simple it is. I might not say easy, how simple it is to eat this way without a meal plan. And I will link to some blog posts that I wrote about exactly this topic, because here's the thing. If you keep your fridge, freezer, and cupboards or pantry, whatever you want to call it, stocked with a couple of staple items, you can have a meal together literally in minutes. It might not be a gourmet meal. It might not be a 5-course banquet that's going to feed your 12-person family, but you can have something on the table that's low in carbs, and that's really all it has to be, right? It doesn't have to be a gourmet meal. Now, some of this is easier for me because I am, I'm dating somebody, but I'm single in the sense that I live alone, and my boyfriend and I often don't eat together. He does eat keto, which is good. Some of you know who he is, wink, wink. So he does eat keto if you know who he is, but we don't always eat together. When we do, it makes for easy meals, but I shall reveal my boyfriend's identity, perhaps some video in the future. For now, he shall remain nameless. Those of you who know who he is are laughing right now. But anyway, so in one of the blog posts that I linked to, I basically gave some suggestions. And even those are only suggestions, because if you are going to stock your kitchen, your fridge, freezer, and pantry with staple items, it has to be stuff you like. How can I give you a food list that has 8 things on it that you don't even like, or that you're allergic to, or that are against your religious, prescriptions as to what you can and cannot eat? I'm not going to tell someone who keeps kosher to eat bacon and pork, or to keep lard in the freezer. Like, that's not going to work. So you have to navigate sensibly within the parameters of what you like or what your family likes and what you can eat based on your religious or cultural preferences. But really, truly, I mean, just as an example, I love food shopping. Maybe it's because I'm a nutritionist or I'm just a foodie. I just have always loved food. And I enjoy grocery shopping. I even I look forward to Wednesdays, because Wednesdays is when we get in the mail the ads for the supermarkets, like, ooh, what's on sale? What's coming up? Like, I like that. I know that's like, sorry, it's crazy, but so I like food and I stock up when things are on sale. You could come to my apartment, and I'm pointing over there because that's where my cupboards are. I could live off of what's in my apartment now for probably at least 2 months. If I ate 2 meals a day, every day in this apartment, I could probably last about 2 months. Between the meat that's in my freezer, and by meat, I don't just mean red meat, I mean beef, pork, lamb, chicken. Between all the canned seafood I have in the cupboard, I have tuna, I have salmon, I have mackerel, I have sardines. What do I have in the fridge? I have a whole bunch of cheese in the fridge. Like I love to grocery shop, but I could survive without bringing anything new into this apartment for several weeks. And if you do that, like, so my meal could be a can of salmon and a bunch of celery stalks. Maybe with some added, you want to put cream cheese in the celery, or use a salad dressing, use some oil and vinegar or something even on the salmon. I don't like to eat it plain. Same thing with tuna. Make a quick tuna salad. Do you have mayo in the fridge or olive oil, whatever you want to use with it? Do you have some vegetable? Whether it's if you have frozen broccoli or frozen Brussels sprouts, they take like 5 minutes to steam or boil, maybe more, in a pot. Minutes. We're talking minutes to put a meal together. Now, like I said, it's not exactly a gourmet meal. You might not serve that to your family, but if you're on your own, you could eat that. Or maybe you have to cook something, like if you are the head chef, quote unquote, in your home, you might have to go out of your way to cook something else if the whole family doesn't eat the way you do. But for your meal, it is as easy as popping the top on a can and putting some vegetables on your plate. Or not even putting the vegetables on your plate. If you're doing the carnivore diet or you're doing keto, you don't actually have to eat vegetables. I'm not really going to weigh in on the carnivore diet quite yet. I do have some reservations about it, but you're not going to die of a vegetable deficiency in a matter of days, or even weeks. If you go a meal or 2 or 10 with no vegetables, you're not actually going to die. Of course, I'm not a doctor. That's not medical advice. Something else, chicken. Like if I have chicken in the freezer, and I do stock up when the boneless, skinless breast or the tenderloins are on sale, I'll stock up. Because, yeah, they're basically fat-free. They're basically 100% protein. I will cook in a huge Pyrex dish, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 of those at a time. And of the big breast, if it's the tenderloins, maybe 8 or 10 out of it. Just bake it 350, 30 minutes or 25 minutes. It's done. Now you can stick them in the fridge. They're ready to go all week. You can cut them up and put it on a salad. You can just eat it plain, dip it in blue cheese dressing, dip it in guacamole, dip it in ranch dressing. You can put it in a frittata, make chicken chili. Like, if you have certain things ready to go on hand, you don't need a meal plan. But you have to have those things on hand. And not only do they have to be on hand, like they're in your freezer, they have to be defrosted and ready to go, right? If something is defrosted, even like a piece of chicken, you can pan fry a chicken breast in minutes. Minutes. And at the same time, on another burner on your stove, have some broccoli steaming or have some asparagus in the oven, 15 minutes at like 400 degrees or something. I mean, these are not prescriptions. I don't give recipes, but it's so simple, but you have to have your kitchen stocked. Or not even a meal plan could be considered like, okay, here's my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner. If you eat 3 meals a day, many of us don't on a low carb way of eating, but it's okay if you do. Maybe built into your plan is going out to a restaurant. For every Friday night, my family goes to such and such place, or every Wednesday I have lunch with my coworkers at this place. You can build that in. But again, you don't need a plan. You need to understand what the best choices are for you at whatever restaurant you're at. And I guess I can link to, I did a blog post on dining out on ketogenic diets, and I have like just recommendations of what to order, whether it's a Mexican place, Indian, Chinese, American pub, bistro type place, diner. You don't need, when you are armed with the knowledge, when you know how to fish, you don't need someone to give you a fish. You don't need a plan when you have the knowledge of what to choose in basically any scenario, any situation. Even when I used to work in an office a long time ago, pre-nutrition career, I worked in a regular corporate office. But I was fortunate enough, I had like a very large desk drawer, and I had a big cabinet, cupboard, what I don't even know what you would call it, like a little storage area where I could put stuff. And I had cans of tuna and salmon and sardines there. I had nuts, I had beef jerky, pork rinds. You can keep lots and lots of non-perishables at your desk. And most people have a refrigerator in their office anyway. So if you have a refrigerator, you can keep pretty much anything. Anything you would keep at home, you can keep at the office. Even if you're in your car, you know, a lot of people sort of like are in the car for work, whether they're a salesperson or they're just on the road a lot, or you could be a mom that just plays chauffeur all day long to lots of kids, or a dad could play chauffeur. Or, you know, even if you do work in an office and you don't have access to refrigeration, most food doesn't spoil anywhere near as quickly as we think it does. So you can just keep it in a bag or a box, unrefrigerated, in a little lunch bag. Or if you are concerned, you know, invest in a decent sized insulated lunch bag where you can put an ice pack. I don't think you need to, but again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a food scientist. If you're concerned about the safety, then take those measures, but that's well worth your money. Those things are not that expensive, one of those little lunch bags. But again, meal plans are just, I have nothing against them. If you like to have a plan and you're going to follow the plan, or you are a fellow nutritionist or dietitian out there who makes a living off of making meal plans, that's great. I'm not opposed to meal plans existing. I just don't like making them. Like I said, I'm not going to tell a grown adult what to have for breakfast next Saturday. I don't know. Here's what you can eat on keto. Here's what you should avoid. Now when you're at the diner for breakfast, what are you going to get? Maybe the Western omelet, that's one of my favorites. It's like eggs and it's, I think, ham and green pepper and onion, right? Maybe put some cheese on it. Or, you know, what are you going to get? Eggs over easy with some sausage and bacon. Did you need a plan to tell you to have that? You know, if you have 2 or 3 pounds of ground beef defrosted, ready to go in the fridge, do you need me to give you a plan to tell you to put that in a skillet and cook it until it's brown, and while that's cooking, put some Brussels sprouts in the oven to roast, or put some cauliflower in a steamer pot to steam? Now, again, let me go back to the issue that I said. It's a lot easier for me to say this as somebody who doesn't have kids and who eats alone most of the time and who works from home. You know, I have access to my kitchen like all the time, but so if you're in a different situation, it's, you know, it is hard for me to relate. I'm not gonna pretend like I don't have an easy life, but it's really no different. You know, your own meal could be as simple as what I just described. If your family does eat low carb or keto, there's no difference. You're just going to cook larger quantities, which, like I said, even though I live alone and I can cook every day if I want, I cook large batches just because it's easier. It doesn't take any more time to bake 5 chicken breasts than it does to bake 1 chicken breast. Just use a bigger pan, put them all in there. It's going to be in the oven for the same exact amount of time. So you might as well cook a lot. Same thing with steak. Like I said with the chicken, don't just grill 1 steak. Grill like 4 steaks, have 1 for dinner. The next day, slice 1 up, put it in a salad or dip it in blue cheese dressing, make a frittata out of it, make an omelet, make, I don't know what. Stir fry it, you know, put an onion, some broccoli, peppers in a pan, garlic, ginger. The steak is already cooked, the chicken is already cooked. You know, that's often what takes the longest, is the cooking of the protein portion of the meal. If that's already cooked, all you really have to do is figure out what to put with it, if you want to put anything with it at all, or what kind of sauce to use if you want some flavor on it, some kind of keto barbecue sauce or keto condiments, you know, higher fat salad dressings. So now if your family does not eat this way, that's where it gets complicated. Every family has its own dynamic, right? So I can just give a general tip, which is the non-low carbers in your household can eat exactly what you're eating. They can just add some starch. For example, let's say you're having pork chops and zucchini. Your kids, your husband, your wife, your mother-in-law, whoever it is in your house that doesn't eat low carb like you do, can have the pork chops and zucchini and a baked potato. or a scoop of rice or a dinner roll or some other starch, or no starch, but maybe they're going to have ice cream for dessert or a piece of cake. You know, it doesn't have to be rocket science. You don't have to be a short order cook. You know, I was at an event in Beaufort, North Carolina, 2 weekends ago. It was amazing. It was Dr. Westman's Keto Retreat, first annual, because we're gonna have one again next year. Stay tuned to the Meet Me in Person tab on my website. I'll have details on that as soon as they're ready. It will be the Martin Luther King holiday weekend of 2021. It's like the 16th, 17th, 18th of January. Don't quote me on that. There will be another one. My point is, we had a really funny conversation among the crowd about what to do when people in your house don't follow this way of eating, or especially, we had a grandma who grew up basically, you ate what you were fed because you were lucky that there was any dang food to be had at all. If someone was wonderful enough and loved you enough to put a plate of food in front of you, you better gobble up that food. And there was no, oh, I don't like this. Oh, I don't want that. Oh, can you make me fish sticks? You know, oh, Billy only eats macaroni and cheese. That didn't fly, 50 years ago in dirt poor North Carolina. This woman was hilarious because she was saying she was at her son's house caring for the grandson. And she normally cooked for him, no problem. But the son, her son, was there, and he was going to cook dinner one night for the grandson. And, he proposed, like, how about such and such? And the grandson was like, oh, I don't want that. And he's like, okay, well, what do you want? And the look on the woman's face was like, you should have seen, like, like, what is this, a restaurant? What is this? There's items on the menu he can just choose from? Like, you make what you make and he'll eat it. So I don't think you have to be that harsh, but really, a low-carb meal is just a regular meal minus the starch. So all you have to do is cook a side of starch for the people that want it. And frankly, a lot of people wouldn't even notice if it was missing. If you don't make a big deal out of it, well, this is a keto meal. What's missing? Do you notice there's only green vegetables and meatloaf? Like, they probably wouldn't even notice unless you call attention to it. Or if they are the type of people that are going to notice, then make the starch, or have somebody else make the starch, like kids are maybe a different situation, but if you have another grown adult in your house that expects to just come home and be fed, I don't know what your family dynamic is. It depends on how hard that person works. If you work, maybe there's two, people employed outside the home that both come home from work. They're both hungry and tired. Why is only one of them cooking? My sister and my brother-in-law have a deal in place. My sister has pretty much always done the cooking. She's an excellent cook. My brother-in-law does the cleanup. That's a deal they've struck. It's worked. They're happily married for over 20 years, happily as far as I know anyway. She cooks, he cleans up. It worked great for them. So yeah, I'm totally rambling now. Let me just think if there's anything else. But I don't like to create meal plans. Again, I have to emphasize what I said earlier. I prefer to show people how simple it is and uncomplicated it is to eat this way without a plan. When you know the types of food that work best for you and the types of food that you need to avoid, you don't need a plan. If you have enough of the suitable foods on hand and ready to go, or you know how to run into a grocery store and get them within minutes, a rotisserie chicken, a pop-top can of salmon, so you don't even need a can opener if you're on the road, deli turkey, roast turkey, stay away from like the brown sugar ham and the honey baked ham, deli Swiss cheese, whatever, like all this pork rinds, any kind of thing. If you know what's suitable, you don't need a plan. Now, you might make yourself a shopping list. You might make yourself a grocery list on a Saturday or Sunday or whatever is the day that you go shopping, so that you remember to have certain things on hand, or if you're running low, you can remember to stock up. You might have in mind, hey, Thursday I'd really like to try that new chili recipe I saw in so-and-so cookbook, and maybe Friday we'll do keto crust pizza. If you want to plan ahead, do that and then go get those ingredients. But planning ahead like that, to me, is different than a meal plan. You know what I mean? And recipes, I'm not opposed to recipes. I always point to that bookshelf back there loaded with keto cookbooks. I rarely use them. I like the food porn. I said before, I'm a foodie. I like to look at pictures of food. No, I don't do anything untoward while I look at them. I just like to look at them. And they give me ideas. I actually rarely follow any of those recipes step by step by step. What it does is like, oh, that looks interesting. Maybe I'll just try that spice or try that flavor, to alter some of the things I already make. You can, in one of the blog posts that I'll link to, you can use the exact same protein and fat and vegetable in your meal and use different seasonings, different herbs and spices, and give it an entirely different flavor. For example, one of my go-to meals is ground beef, or it could be ground pork, ground turkey, some kind of ground meat in a skillet with chopped up, could be zucchini, could be onions, could be asparagus, broccoli, green or red peppers, any kind of, low carb friendly vegetable, all in one pan, with whatever fat you like. Sometimes you don't even need to add any fat. If the meat is fatty enough, just let it all cook in the fat from the meat. You don't have to add any extra oil to the pan, or ghee or butter or whatever fat you like. You could use curry powder and maybe some cumin and turmeric, like extra turmeric if you want, for kind of like an Indian flair, maybe some cayenne, make it spicy. And that's a delicious Indian flavored dish. Use the exact same meat and vegetables and fat, and this time add chili powder and cumin and something else and make it Mexican. Some other time, same exact ingredients, change the spice, use basil, oregano, marjoram, maybe some rosemary, and have like an Italian flair. Maybe for the Italian, you want to put in like half a can of chopped tomatoes. It's the exact same ingredients. All you do is change the spices, and you have an entirely different flavored meal. So that's what I mean. Like it's so useful even to cook tons and tons of chicken all at once. One day, have it with blue cheese dressing. The next day, toss it with some snow peas and broccoli and green beans and some soy sauce and some garlic and ginger or some tamari, and you have some kind of like Asian stir fry. Same chicken. So that's why I don't do meal plans. And you're not wrong if you need a meal plan or you like a meal plan. Like I said, some people like to have the plan. I do this in other aspects of my life not related to diet. Like when I wake up in the morning or the night before, I'm running through my head all the things I intend to do. All right, I got to write that one blog post, and I got to do that video, and I got to do X, Y, and Z. Most of the time I procrastinate and don't do 90% of it, but I like to have the plan in place so that I know if I wanted to be as productive as I could be, I could get it all done. I probably won't, but the plan is there in case I want to. So if that helps you stay on the keto straight and narrow, like I said, you are not wrong if you like a meal plan, but please do keep in mind, again, keto without the crazy, you don't need a plan. I'm not going to say shouldn't. It's not that you shouldn't need a plan. If you like the plan, use the plan. You don't need it. Like if you have the knowledge, if you know what's good to eat and you keep it in the house, or you know how to get it from a supermarket or even a gas station convenience store if you're on the road. And this too. So I almost forgot. What if I write you a meal plan and life throws you 8 curveballs that week? Well, I was supposed to have my keto lasagna with zucchini noodles. I was supposed to have that on Monday night, but Monday night I got called back for this work emergency. I didn't even have time to eat at all. I'm starving. Nothing's defrosted. What am I going to do? Maybe on the way home, you could stop at the gas station to get hard-boiled eggs and string cheese and nuts. Maybe that's not the greatest dinner, but is it keto? Yeah. Did you need a plan? No. And even if you had the plan fell apart. What if you had the greatest, I don't know what, like you brought your lunch to work on Thursday, but your coworkers want to go out and you're in the mood to go out, even though you brought your food. You could bring your bagged lunch to the restaurant if you want, really no big deal, or alter the plan. Roll with the punches. All right, you know what? I'll leave that in the fridge. I'll have that tomorrow. Today I'll go out, but this is off my plan. Now what do? Order something keto friendly on the menu. Or you might have to customize to make it keto friendly, but you have to know how to navigate this stuff without a plan. When life throws you that twist and you need to think on your feet, and the food that you had planned to have available is not available. Now what do? You have to know how to eat without a plan, and it could not be more simple. Couldn't be more simple, in my opinion. Maybe it's easy for me to say that because I love to cook, I love to shop for food, I love prepping food. My mother was a great cook, certainly not keto, but I grew up watching her cook. So maybe that's why I'm not afraid to just mess around. Oh, throw this in, see how that works, throw that in. You can't do that with baking. Baking has to be very precise. Cooking, you can just toss stuff in a pot and see what happens. But yeah, if you are a new cook, if you have no cooking experience, then I don't necessarily recommend a meal plan, but there might be some cookbooks that are good for beginners that teach you technique. And that's even better than recipes. It's technique. How do I roast? How do I braise? How do I pan fry? How do I saute? How do I stir fry? Because if you know the technique, you can apply it to any kind of dish that calls for that technique. And I have a huge crush on Michael Ruhlman. If you've ever heard of Michael Ruhlman, he's a cookbook author and I want to say like journalist. I don't know if he's a journalist, or he might even be like a trained chef that sort of became a chef after being a food writer, but he's mostly known as a writer. He has a book that is specifically about techniques, I think, if I remember right. It's like 5 techniques. If I get that right, I'll link to it. I don't remember if I'm remembering right or not. It might be one individual book per technique, like how to fry, how to braise, how to roast. I don't know. I'll have to look up, but that's the thing. If you have some basic cooking skills in your armor, or if you don't, I don't think a lot of the newfangled kitchen gadgets are necessary, but from what I see on social media, they're incredibly helpful. So if you have no idea what to do, get an air fryer and look through the recipes it has, or get an air fryer and then do an internet search for keto air fryer recipes. Maria Emmerich has a book called Keto Air Fryer. Get an Instant Pot, like or any kind of pressure cooker. That's the brand name. Get a pressure cooker and search for keto pressure cooker recipes. Those 2 things, you pretty much just have to put stuff in, close, turn the dials the right way, and the food cooks. You don't even have to do anything. So this way of eating is not difficult, and it doesn't take a whole lot of culinary and cooking know-how. Like I said, put it in the air fryer, put it in the pressure cooker, put it in your slow cooker. You just have to know what to choose, and what you choose is foods that are low in carbohydrate. Thank you for watching. Again, don't forget to check out all the links below. Hopefully my affiliate stuff will be up and running, and that will be there. Maybe Michael Ruhlman's cookbook if I was right about my thought that I had, and the Meet Me in Person tab, consultations, and the page 4 diet. If you are having trouble losing weight on keto and you think you're doing everything right, and you are really stuck, and we're not talking about the last 2 or 5 pounds, we're talking about a substantial amount of weight, check out that page 4 diet link. It will be helpful for you. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.